Hey everyone, welcome to the Wrestling Experience.
Where we noticed a lack of Fox and USA executives high-fiving each other between draft picks on the draft edition of SmackDown this week.
I have to tell you though, last year when they high-fived awkwardly when they drafted Natalia to Raw, that was pretty funny.
I mean, she's the winningest uh, woman in the roster, so like I would be ecstatic like they were, and I really think they nailed the enthusiasm.
Of course, I'm Jazz,
And I'm Johnny. I'm
and we are
pointing down
here
here.
to recap SmackDown. It's night one of the draft. It's really fun because Stephanie is out and the stage looks pretty nice. There's like a little shade of red and there's a little shade of blue. It sort of reminds you a little something, right?
Yeah, I wonder where they got that from. It doesn't look anything like what we have on our video, right?
Oh
Nothing
no,
at all. And
absolutely not.
commentary also tells us that titles will be changing with the person that is drafted. So if a champion is drafted, the title goes with them. So I'm already wondering which champion's getting drafted tonight, eh?
Exactly.
Stay
And
tuned.
we also wanted to make clear that for every 2 picks from SmackDown, there's going to be 3 picks from Raw, which makes sense since Raw is a 3-hour show and SmackDown is 2 hours. So let's kick it right off. So Stephanie McMahon, she opens the show. She welcomes us to the WWE Draft. Raw is up first, and the number 1 pick, unsurprisingly, is Drew McIntyre. SmackDown is up next, and the obvious pick is Roman Reigns. Next up is the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka. She remains on Raw, and SmackDown selects the Monday Night Messiah. Oh, I'm sorry, wait, the Friday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins. And the last pick of the round, Raw selects the Hurt Business. And so far, only Seth Rollins has changed brands. But how do you feel so far about round one?
Well, first of all, poor Bayley getting snubbed there.
Yes.
We had male champion, women's champion, Seth Rollins.
Basically.
What a swerve that was. But yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised to see the champions stay in their respective brands. I am not surprised to see the Hurt Business stay on Raw because of the Retribution storyline. The Seth Rollins to SmackDown was surprising because I was actually expecting him to be leaving for, I guess, some sort of paternity leave soon. And I figured he would just wind down on Raw. But this is going to be very exciting. I'm very excited at the prospect of having Seth Rollins on the same brand as the current Roman Reigns Tribal Chief Edition. To be quite honest with you.
Is so true. It shall be interesting to see them interacting backstage. And actually, we are backstage with Seth Rollins and Kayla Braxton. And, he talks about how it was never about the name. It was always about the message that mattered the most. And,
Because he's no longer the Monday Night Messiah.
That's it, yeah.
I guess the Friday Night one.
And after spending his entire career on Raw, he is just really thrilled to join the Blue Brand and carve a new path. He's heartbroken that he won't be there in person to see the Mysterio family implode. But luckily for him, he won't have to look at their disgusting faces again. And I'm like, oof, ouch.
Well, I got some good news for you, Seth Rollins, but we'll save that for later. The greater good is on Friday nights. That's the moral of the story here.
So we're going to jump next to our first match of the night. Also, not even arguably the best match of the night. We have our Falls Count Anywhere match between Big E and Sheamus, and holy crap, they beat the. I mean, I don't even want to say it. I was gonna say like a swear word, but they really beat the crap out of each other, didn't they?
They beat the poopy out of each other. They sure did. Yeah,
Essentially.
It was amazing, though.
Yeah.
It was split with a commercial break, which kind of, was a bit
Takes away from the action
breaking
a
as
bit,
usual because, Big E's, before commercial, Big E's got a kendo stick and he's hitting Sheamus. And then we come back from commercial like 3 or 4 minutes later and he's still hitting him with a kendo stick. So it just seems bizarre.
Yes. So Big E.
Let's go with the first half. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's good.
Essentially, Big E is all fired up to begin with. He's taking out Budios from under the ring. He even picks up a kendo stick, but Sheamus attacks him with a knee to the head. And then Sheamus, in a very funny way, he starts digging under the ring, but then he starts like going really under the ring. Like he actually
was looking for Hornswoggle, right?
something like that. And as he's really like pretty much like 90% under the ring, Big E takes basically a tape and he starts taping his legs, and then he starts beating him up with a kendo stick. And all that, so the action gets taken backstage, and then Sheamus empties the whole catering area on Big E. Like, he throws flour on him.
This is great storytelling, though. I mean, I was laughing at this. He put flour and eggs on him because he likes pancakes so much. And I want to say about the duct tape, it was Sheamus that kind of gave it to Big E. If you noticed, he's the one who was looking for weapons under the ring, and then we saw the duct tape, and he's like, no, I don't want this, and he slides it back, and he digs further. Yeah, I guess the 4th kendo sticks and the 3 rolls of duct tape and possibly ladders and tables weren't enough for him. He had to go really deep in there.
Exactly.
But yeah, they're backstage, and eventually Big E takes over, right? And he starts hitting Sheamus. And they end up in the parking lot, which is very fitting. Good storytelling where it all began, right? Mm-hmm. And at this point, like, Sheamus's back is all red,
and Big E is not from all over.
Big E is not quite there yet, but white noise on top of a car pretty much ruins Big E's back. Mm-hmm. He's also full of flour still. Like, that hasn't gone away. He also used hand sanitizer on his hands. I don't know if I noticed Corey mentioned that. Sheamus tries to stuff him in the trunk at one point too, but Big E is able to get out, and thank goodness, because I think Sheamus was going to smash the trunk onto his arm, and Big E's able to set up a big ending off the car onto a table for quite an amazing way to start off SmackDown. And that was a good match. Big E got his win. Sheamus made him look amazing. They beat each other up. It was great.
Like, I mean, after the match, I texted you right away, and I was like, man, this was, it was the first match, and I already knew this was going to be the best match. They pretty much had everything: garbage cans, tire irons, even a hand sanitizer. So it was perfect, man. Like, we really got to see them really beat the crap out of each other. And when I saw that happening, I was like, one of these guys is changing brands. Spoiler alert. I mean, obviously one of them does. But it just kind of felt like a fitting end to I guess their feud. But we're not gonna jump to that. We're gonna move on next. We're gonna go to Jey Uso, who makes his way to the ring. But first, Big E is about to get interviewed by Braxton, but they are interrupted by the returning Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Really happy to see both of them back, and really happy to see the New Day back, man. They're all hyped up, and they actually want their tag titles back. So we'll see if that actually happens later on tonight. But
talk about getting your wish granted, because we will find out that they will get a tag team title match tonight.
Yeah, so
which is interesting.
Yeah, so we're gonna jump to Jey Uso, who's in the ring, and at this point, he's calling out Roman Reigns. He wants to know what the stipulation is at Hell in a Cell, and he's waiting for Roman to come out. But instead, we get Paul Heyman on the Titantron, and Paul Heyman's like, "Listen, you got to stop this foolishness. Roman is only gonna show up on his own terms. It's only when he's only going to come out when it's convenient to him. And just because Paul Heyman is a nice guy, he wants to show us and Jey Uso a video recap of what happened to Jey at Clash of Champions. We all know what happened to Jey, but it was really nice
He basically says anyone who steps up to Roman Reigns, who gets too ambitious, is going to that's what they're going to suffer, that same beatdown.
Essentially. And after that video package, Roman's is sitting down and he tells a story about what his dad used to say. He said that believe nothing that you hear and half of what you see, but what you just saw, believe that. And I was like, okay, cool. Like Roman, a man of few words, but those words can hurt. And he
stings a little, yeah.
Yeah, and he basically confirms the stipulation at Hell in a Cell. He said for the first time ever inside Hell in a Cell, we are going to have an I Quit match. And you know what? Like, I actually loved you, and I just wanted to help you, and it didn't have to be like this. But you'll know that after you say I quit, there will be consequences. And again, great promo from Roman Reigns, and I really think that he's going to beat the holy hell out of Jey Uso.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. And both of them have been in Hell in a Cells before, and both of them had good performances in the past. It's going to be good. Hopefully the cell is not red this time, but it's probably going to be red. So.
Yeah, who knows? So before we go to round 2, we actually see a little backstage segment with Stephanie McMahon and Adam Pearce. She's basically showing him the round 2 picks, and he looks very surprised, and he seems ecstatic. So she's back on the ramp.
He's just like, ooh. Yeah. What's that?
Well, she's back on the ramp, and she announces that the New Day will actually face Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship tonight. But onto the picks. AJ Styles goes back to Raw, as we had both predicted. Sasha Banks stays on SmackDown, and at this point I wrote down, I love the fact that she got picked before Bayley.
Yeah, I said poor Bayley earlier in the first round, but like also now.
Yeah. Naomi heads over to Raw. Bianca Belair heads over to SmackDown.
Bayley, they could have snatched, and have 2 women's titles, but whatever.
Right. And then this is my favorite pick, as I mentioned before. Bianca Belair heads to SmackDown, and I think that SmackDown is the perfect place for Bianca Belair. And Raw finally selects Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, and then I started wondering, I'm like, but why even draft them when the titles can be defended on any show? Even commentary mentioned it right after they selected Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, that like these titles can be defended on any brand.
I guess because when they eventually lose the titles, they want them to be Raw exclusive, because it really makes no sense. They should be like the last pick, because essentially they could be on any brand. But logic is not really a thing here.
And we do see AJ Styles, who's sitting, I guess, in his game room or whatever, but essentially he talks about how he's offended and that he wasn't the first pick for SmackDown, but he's also relieved that he's not around Jeff Hardy and that neckbeard Sami Zayn anymore.
That cheater Jeff Hardy and that neckbeard Sami Zayn, and his future is phenomenal on Raw. That's what he's got.
So
what a guy.
We are going to move to Miz and Morrison, who are in the ring, and they're going to be facing Jeff Hardy and Matt Riddle.
Matt and Jeff, the Hardy Boys.
Basically, we get some broetry in motion, as they call it, from Jeff Hardy and Matt Riddle. They're firing on all cylinders, making Morrison look like a chump. We do get I don't know if this is a botch or if on purpose, but we see a funny botch where the Miz gets the tag, but then he trips getting into the ring,
allowing I think Jeff to get the tag on Matt Riddle. Yeah, it was I don't know what happened. I think it was a nice touch by Miz. I think it was intentional. Maybe there was a timing issue. They needed to get the hot tag because this match really felt just rushed. It was split up again by a commercial in the middle, and literally the first part of the match was I think 2 minutes of just Matt Riddle suplexing people and teaming with Jeff, and then the second half was also not very long, where a lot of stuff happens, and then eventually Matt Riddle just is able to clean house after a sequence of stuff where he ends up pinning, I think, the Miz. It just felt really short, and I think Miz and Morrison got done dirty again. I was also wondering why they're in this segment when they were supposed to have the Otis court thing. And this whole match, just the whole idea of it just started on the whole match was basically made because Matt Riddle wanted to team with Jeff Hardy because it could have been their last night on the same brand.
Essentially.
And then Miz and Morrison made fun of them. All this through Twitter. It's just bizarre. But
they don't get to celebrate much because we have a returning Lars Sullivan. Riddle tries to fight him off, but Lars...
and new music.
Yeah, so Lars hits him off with a power slam, and then he nails out Jeff Hardy. The Miz is trying to escape with the help of John Morrison, but Lars is just too strong, and he's pummeling him as well. So, that's it. Lars Sullivan is back. As you can see, we sound very ecstatic. We really missed him. I'm being sarcastic, obviously. I
also wrote down that the beatdown was longer than the match post-commercial. The match after the first commercial was shorter than the beatdown that Lars Sullivan gave. Yeah. And Morrison, thankfully, didn't get a beating this time. I don't think he got hit at all. I think he was out of the ring the whole time.
Yeah, he escaped.
He only tried to pull Miz out, but was unsuccessful.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, it's kind of hard to separate the person from the wrestler, and we know what a shitty person he is. But again, we don't know if Lars Sullivan is going to be drafted to Raw or SmackDown. Stephanie McMahon actually is there to
we do know
announce.
We will find out where he's going on Monday. But.
Exactly. So basically, she mentions that, and she is there to announce the selections for round 3. Ricochet will stay on Raw, so we were both wrong on that front. Jey Uso is announced for SmackDown, followed by
not Jimmy.
Exactly. Followed by Mandy Rose on Raw. Dominic and Rey Mysterio are going to SmackDown, so we know that the Rollins and Mysterio story continues, just on a different brand. And the final pick is The Miz and John Morrison. So I was half right. I said John Morrison, but it seems that the Miz and John Morrison are going to be continuing their tag team on Raw.
This is great because I feel like they've been jobbed out for the last few weeks, and it's hopefully start fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And as for the whole Dominic and Ray being on SmackDown along with Seth Rollins. I hope this doesn't mean that we're not seeing Buddy Murphy like ever again. But I'm worried a bit about that.
Yeah, well, you do mention Dominic and Rey Mysterio. We do get to see them quickly backstage. They're really excited to be on SmackDown, and they're happy that they didn't get separated. And they're not done with Seth Rollins, as Rey Mysterio said.
We're gonna get him. He thought he was done with us, but we're gonna get him.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, it's still going. It's still going.
Well, Johnny, it's boss time because we have Sasha Banks facing off against Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title. The fact that
I know you're excited about this.
Yes, but I was going to say,
you must be disappointed.
The fact that this match started at 9 p.m., I knew that this was not going to have a clean finish. If this was the main event, I would have been like, okay, maybe there's going to be a title change or a clean finish or something. But the fact that it was at 9 p.m. and everything, I was like, well, this is something that's going to maybe last 5 minutes and we're going to get a wonk finish. And that's exactly what happened because Bayley comes out with a chair, and I just had a feeling that she was going to be using this chair in this match. As Bayley is being introduced, Sasha kicks the chair away and she slaps Bayley. The match begins and Sasha is on fire. She's basically a firecracker. You know, she kind of drags her, out of the ring, back in the ring, starts hitting her with a couple of rights. Bayley has had enough. She escapes, but then Sasha kind of grabs her back. There's like a back and forth pinning thing between them. Sasha even puts her in a bank statement twice.
A few of them, yeah. A few bank statements came in.
Yeah, but Bayley takes that chair and intentionally hits her to get disqualified. So
yeah, they were like heading to the outside of the ring, and I think Bayley grabbed the chair and hit her, and then that was it.
Yeah, so
unfortunate.
After the match, Bayley brings in the chair to attack Sasha, but Sasha is actually able to turn the tables around and nails her with a couple of chair shots to the back. And Sasha was about to take Bayley's neck off, essentially just putting the chair between and kind of, stomping her. But Bayley was able to escape, and they were separated by referees. So, unfortunately, we didn't get even a match, really. Come on, it was just basically 5 minutes, and shenanigans ensued. I'm not saying that I wanted a clean finish, but I was kind of expecting maybe 10-15 minutes before Bayley kind of realized that she wasn't going to be able to beat Sasha. But unfortunately, we didn't get that.
At the same time, we kind of expected it to not blow over here and kind of just be a stepping stone to the pay-per-view. One thing that you didn't mention that I really enjoyed was one of the chair spots before Sasha was able to hit Bayley in the back was they had it set up in the corner, and Sasha was able to use her knees to drive Bayley's face into the chair, and I thought that was a unique use of the chair before she hit her in the back with it, which was really nice. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, so we're going to jump to Kevin Owens, who's backstage. He's taping himself up for his match later tonight, but Alexa Bliss just creepily comes into the scene, and she tells Kevin to let him in. So, interesting to see if Alexa Bliss interferes or not. We'll find out later on. But we do have our SmackDown. Yes, we do have our SmackDown tag team title match. We have the New Day facing off against Cesaro and Nakamura. Essentially, the story of the match is at the beginning, Cesaro was dominating Kingston. Even the commentary team at this point, they were mentioning the ring rust from the New Day because obviously Xavier Woods has not been wrestling for over 6 months. Even I would say pre-pandemic era, he was still not wrestling. And Kofi Kingston was taken out 3 months ago at Extreme Rules. So I guess the story at the beginning was the ring rust, and they were a little slow at the beginning to kind of get in the action. But once Woods got the hot tag, he went on. I believe at one point he went for a DDT, launching himself from the bottom rope on Nakamura. I thought that was really cool.
That was sweet, yeah.
Kofi followed it up with a DDT, but on the outside on Cesaro. I really and honestly seeing that, I'm like, that one looked really smooth, and number two, I really missed the New Day.
Yeah, it was nice, and the ending sequence was pretty great too. Looked like Cesaro and Nakamura were going to win, right? They were going to go for the swing into the Kinshasa, but I think it was Woods that held his foot down.
You're right.
Nakamura's foot, so he couldn't go for it. And then this allowed them to take over. And it was a nice sequence where Kofi hits the Trouble in Paradise on Cesaro, taking him out. Naka goes for an exploder, but Kofi is able to escape that and hit a Trouble in Paradise. And he gets tagged So it allows Woods to get up for a really, really like long diving elbow for the win.
Oh yeah. He was far off,
across
man.
the ring, yeah.
Yeah, of course. So the New Day, they win. So the New Day are your SmackDown Tag Team Champions. A little disappointed. Yeah, but I was gonna say before we move on to the next thing, a little disappointed that Cesaro and Nakamura kind of I guess their reign ended that way. But we knew what was gonna happen because Stephanie McMahon comes out. And
but not just that, Big E was not there for the match until the end. He came to celebrate, and I'm like, is he gonna turn on them? Like, did they come ruin his singles push too short? Did Sheamus do something and trigger something to him? Is something exciting gonna happen? Not really.
No.
Like Stephanie comes out right to announce the fourth and final round, and it's just I just find this like kind of just a bummer. I just find it like just it's too convenient and it makes no sense because Raw drafts Kofi and Xavier Woods only, and then you can hear them. The camera still cuts to them, and they're like, "What about Big E? Say his name. Say Big E's name." And then she's like, "Sure, drafted to SmackDown, Big E." I'm okay, sure. That's convenient.
I mean, okay, so I get it, but you have to understand that this is a wrestling show and there's storylines. I understand the argument could be like, well, why is it that they are able to draft a whole faction in the Hurt Business, but they're not able to draft the New Day? But again, like just for a story's sake, who knows? Maybe the Raw executives did not want Big E. Maybe the Raw executives were like, we just want, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. We don't know, but like obviously, suspend disbelief. I get it, but yeah.
It's not that the outcome is an issue. There's nothing wrong with splitting them up.
I get it.
It's just the way it was. It's
too convenient.
A cheap way to tell the story here.
Yeah.
When they had such nice storytelling with the Sheamus and Big E match earlier, with the little pancake spot that was kind of funny, and then the whole it comes back to the garage where it all started, and it ends in a similar way. Like that was much better and much more clever. But okay,
listen,
let's just move.
You were preaching to the choir. Like I completely agree with you. But yes, moving on. Dana Brooke remains on Raw. Otis stays on SmackDown, and Angel Garza will
but
also
not Tucker.
Not
no
Tucker.
Tucky. No Tucky.
That's it. And Angel Garza will remain on Raw. So that was it for the draft for night one. We do want to specify that they said that the draft will continue on night 2 on Raw, but they did also talk about Raw, SmackDown, talking smack on Saturday morning, so they might be announcing some more picks. Because I believe there were about 60 superstars, or I forgot what the list was, but clearly not everyone that was on the list got selected tonight. So it could be that they're going to be moving some people around, and they actually made they actually did similar announcements last year on Talking Smack also during the draft. So keep an eye on that, and we'll obviously update you guys once we get some more information. But
yeah, who knows? We might even find out that the Street Profits, the Raw Tag Champs, will switch brands too, just to because for
Bianca's Bianca's also on SmackDown.
That giveaway too. So
yeah. So we see that the New Day, they're not happy at all with this decision. Big E is clearly emotional. You can kind of see his eyes are watery and his eyes are red and everything, and he's looking distraught.
He also had a bunch of flour and eggs in his eyes, so that could be just the after effects of that. But yeah, he's probably sad about this for sure. Yeah,
so we see Heavy Machinery backstage, and they're getting ready for court. Otis actually mentions being drafted to SmackDown, but not Tucker, as you astutely did. And I'm thinking, how will this play out with Miz and Morrison being on Raw with Mandy? And a lawyer comes out, and she hands some papers to Otis, and they are told that the trial has been moved, and Otis isn't too happy about that.
Yeah, he was ready. Tucky's like, they're just trying to suck you dry and prolong this because they got nothing on you. And then I think he said the funniest thing about not taking away his sweat or his.
They're not gonna dry his moisture or something.
They're not gonna take away his moisture. Yeah, and I don't remember exactly what he said, but I thought it was funny. Yeah, I always like Otis. He's a good guy.
Yeah, let's move on to Sasha Banks. She's backstage, and she's really, really pissed off at Bayley. And she's like, you know what, Bayley, you want a hell? Well, you've got it, because she's challenging her to a Hell in a Cell match. And let's not forget that incredible Hell in a Cell match that Sasha Banks had against Becky Lynch last year. And how great was that match? So I know that Sasha Banks can deliver. And
I think with Becky, but with Charlotte too.
Absolutely. You are absolutely right. And what I did like, though, is that, she talked about how she used to love Bayley. They used to be best friends, but at Hell in a Cell, she's going to take away the one thing that Bayley loves the most, and that's her SmackDown Women's title. And I believe her. I believe that Sasha is going to leave Hell in a Cell with the SmackDown Women's title.
Would you say you believe that?
I believe that. So, before we go on to the main event, we are told that the New Day is going to be getting a farewell match next Friday because they will be facing off against Sheamus, Cesaro, and Nakamura. So, very, very interesting.
The League of Nations is back.
But I find it also very interesting that you have the New Day that get drafted to Raw. But hey, wait, guys, they're going to have one more match on SmackDown next week.
I guess the USA guys are super nice. They only take 2/3 of the New Day. They let them have another match on Fox. Man, they're such good sports.
Of course. So we are going to go to our main event now. We have The Fiend, who's going to face off against Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens actually starts the match right off with a clothesline, a cannonball in the turnbuckle, but The Fiend just gets up with ease. He taunts KO, just sticking his tongue out, and he starts his onslaught. KO did try to fight back with, a few times with a couple of rights and everything like that, but The Fiend had an answer for everything. He was no-selling everything that KO was doing, right?
Yeah. This match was broken up by one commercial break, I think. The first half was pretty much Bray Wyatt beatdown. I think it ends with a Sister Abigail onto the announcer table. And then when they come back, same thing. The Fiend gives him a few Iranagis and just takes him out.
And he snaps his neck
super
too.
Kicks.
Yeah.
He does the neck twist, and I'm like, by God, he killed the guy. I don't understand how you can do that move without actually killing the guy, but sure. There is a point where Kevin Owens breaks out of a Sister Abigail.
Yes.
And he gets 3 super kicks in a row, and the third one stuns the Fiend enough to the point where he falls back into the corner, and there's 2 cannonballs in a row, which was nice.
Yeah. And he just gets up with ease again.
Yeah, and then they end up on the outside. KO hits him with a nice frog splash from the apron, which was cool. Fiend rushes him, and there's a pop-up powerbomb botch. He attempts to pop him up into the announcer table and doesn't really go so well. And they do it a second time, and it's not that well. Doesn't look that good either, but it still happens, and the announcer table breaks. So, woof, thank God for that, right?
Honestly, the match was not bad. It's just it's basically what you texted me, how the Fiend just no-sells everything. He just kind of just comes in, squashes. But I'm happy that this was not really a squash. KO got a decent amount of offense. But that's the thing. You're right, weird. Though. It's not a squash, but it is because everything that KO was doing, the Fiend was just kind of laughing it off. And basically
the ending was the worst part, though. You're going to say, I'll let you describe what happens.
Yeah, well, so essentially, right after the pop-up powerbomb, the Fiend just gets up with ease. He puts the mandible claw on KO, who hits him with the stunner.
Which I thought was clever and super cool.
But as he's kind of doing the stunner move, the claw is still in KO's mouth. And
it's always locked in, yeah.
And he basically just slams him and he puts him away. And that's how the Fiend wins. So, again, it's not that it was a bad finish at all. I thought it was a pretty clever way of kind of finishing off the match where KO again is able to hit him with a stunner, but whatever KO did was nothing. It didn't do any effect on the Fiend. And after that, the lights go off. They come back on, and the Fiend and Alexa Bliss are both on the ramp. They're staring into each other's eyes. They're basically staring into each other's souls lovingly. They both look at Kevin Owens at the same time, and then they look back at each other. And before SmackDown goes off the air, we're told that Roman Reigns is going to face off against Braun Strowman next week. And that's it. That was our recap for SmackDown. I mean,
that's going to be interesting, I guess. Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman.
Sure, but does that mean that Braun Strowman is not going to get picked on Raw? What's,
It means that Dabba-Kato interferes and Raw Underground invades SmackDown. I don't know.
SmackDown Underground, no.
Anything could happen.
So, what did you think about the draft, first of all? So, just separate the episode. They're, basically notable, I would say, Seth Rollins, Bianca Belair, moving to SmackDown. We also have the New Day, Miz and Morrison going to Raw. Naomi going to Raw as well. But... and the same thing with AJ Styles. I personally think that they did a pretty good job at kind of separating the talent. And again, like I'm super excited to see what Seth Rollins is going to bring to the table once he's done with the Mysterio family, because clearly this is
if
not
he's
over
ever
yet.
done with them, right?
But also Bianca Belair, I think that that could be really, really awesome.
So, draft was cool. I mean, obviously, I came into this episode super hyped because I love the draft episode. It's always interesting, and I feel like they always put an extra 110%.
Yeah, it started like this. SmackDown started like this.
But yeah, I didn't really like this episode. But if I'm talking about just the draft picks, a lot of them just felt anticlimactic because you're just drafting the same people to the same brand, and like there's a few notable changes like AJ and Seth, Miz and Morrison, the New Day. But then you have things like Bianca Belair. I haven't seen her. I mean, I saw that she's like really good at racing and pull-ups and deadlifts and game nights, but I don't see her wrestle. Naomi gets drafted, and I haven't seen her in forever. So it's kind of hard to care about these picks. I find it bizarre that like Mandy Rose was such an early pick when like there's so many superstars that would have got picked higher.
But I mean, like, it's always
Braun
like
Strowman
that,
not
right?
getting picked. I mean, I guess they'll explain it by saying this was the available pool.
Yeah,
from this
but that's what it was. Yeah,
that's pretty much what it was. Lars Sullivan return is whatever. I don't care.
Yeah,
he does look less scary with a beard, which is interesting. But
well, he looks better with a beard, but doesn't change the fact that he's, not a good person.
Well, you don't know if he's not a good person. You just heard these stories. They might be true, and he's probably not a good person, but we're not going to comment on that.
No, I know. But I just find it hard to kind of get into Lars Sullivan because
sure. It's like your favorite actor, you find out he's a jerk, and then you don't want to watch his movies anymore, even though he's good or something, or actress or whatever. Yeah. It's the same idea. But in terms of the draft, it was fine. In terms of the episode, how did you feel about the episode?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the episode started like on a high, and I was like really, really excited, and it kind of ended like in a dud. Like I feel, it started with the draft, and it was really cool with like the whole Seth Rollins announcement. That I was like, oh crap, like they're gonna have some huge changes. And then we got to see Big E and Sheamus, which was an incredible match, man. Like they really beat the crap out of each other, and it really did feel like a fight. AJ Styles going to Raw, and I'm like, cool, like they're really going with this. The New Day returning, I was like super, excited about that. Then I see Lars Sullivan, and I'm like, I care a little less about this. The New Day winning, which was still very exciting. I think that's pretty cool. So I would say it's hit and miss. Like I'm not gonna say that it was a bad episode, but I'm not gonna say that it was a great episode either. It was really like middle of the pack, because when you if you do the law of the average, it kind of, the episode was really like mediocre to like okay or something like that. So,
though, because like really, like you said, I really just liked the big picks from Seth and AJ and the first match. The Jey Uso Roman Reigns promo was fine. It wasn't like spectacular. Sasha Banks and Bayley kind of was a letdown. Miz and Morrison jobbing to a random tag team and a feud that started on Twitter just seems whatever.
Yeah.
Like you've had storylines building for a few weeks. Like, oh, let's put this random feud that started on Twitter and then we'll have Lars Sullivan return. Okay, sure.
No, it's fair. You make fair points, yeah.
It's nice to see the Fiend though. That was cool. I mean, but like I feel like the guy, he's a master. He's managed to give himself a gimmick where he wrestles once a month and he doesn't really have to he can do his promos via recording and not even have to show up. Like he's working smart, not hard.
Yeah. But hey, listen, I mean, we do know that the draft is not over yet, so we might still get some surprises. And again, like maybe with Talking Smack, they'll be able to announce some more. Again, but I think overall they are changing the landscape. I don't know by how much. It's again with like Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins going to the same brand. Are they really changing much? Yeah, exactly.
How convenient. What are the odds?
Yeah. But again, like it's. I think overall, if I had to put like if I had to give it a score, I would say 6 on 10 is probably what I'll be giving to this episode.
Yeah, like 7, I might be too generous. So
no, exactly. 6 is like the again, but again, like, it started off really well and then it went down, but then you do the average and you get a 6. So
if it was only a half hour, it would be like a 9.
Exactly.
Because the first half hour was great.
Yeah. So that was our recap for SmackDown Night 1 of the draft. If you do enjoy our content, make sure to hit the subscribe button on YouTube, and you'll find all the information in the description box below, where to find us on social media. And that's it, guys. Stay tuned for Night 2 and our Raw recap. We're looking forward to it, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Sweet. boy, were we wrong with some of those draft picks. And we were even more wrong because we were kind of basing our picks off our truth, but he was even more wrong. So like, what happened, man? Are we even real journalisms?
Oh man, listen, like, even people like our truth, they have a bad day, so it's okay. And we're not,
as long as we look up to our childhood hero, John Cena, we can make it through anything, right? That's what you were gonna say.